Okay, can we hear me?
Yes, you can.
Hello, can you all hear me? All right. Thank you, everyone. And once again, welcome to class. Thank you, everyone. And once again, welcome to class. Week one, like I said, of the Gypsy Mentorship and Internship Program for the Entertainment Business and Law session. And I will be your moderator for today. My name is Dennis Williams. I'm sure you guys are quite familiar with me. And um, I'll be running you guys through what we'll be doing today. So in today's class, we are expecting two mentors, that is Mrs. Omotayo Abiode and Mrs. Amanda Uzoagba. Right, they'll be our two mentors for today, and they'll be running us through the topic film business and law. Right, so they'll be doing due justice to that subject for today. And so in today's class, we'll be having presentations from the mentors first. We'll take a 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20, 25 minutes presentation from the mentors. Sorry, some people are saying they can't really hear me. Please, can you confirm that you all can hear me? You can hear me loud and clear.
I can hear you.
Your your voice is a little bit low. Seems like you're using a headset.
I can hear you too, but your voice
Okay.
is kind of
So
low.
it's, oh, okay. Let me see if I can work on that. All right, can you hear me now?
It's better now.
Yes, this is better.
All right. So sorry about that. My device, I don't know, for some reason it was quite low. But right now we'll just get back to where we stopped. So I was saying that we would have presentations from our two mentors. For 20 minutes, they will come and talk to us about the topic, film business and law. And then for another 15 minutes each, we'll be having presentations from both groups, that's group one and group two. So the group presenters, please do get ready. We'll be taking your presentation once the mentors are done taking their presentation. So I would just want us to sit in. I'm sure we're going to have a really nice class. I'm trying to check through to see if our mentors are already in session, but while we wait for them, I will do well to read their profile. So my screen is having a little issue and I might not be able to share it from my end, but I have done so I've actually shared it in your subgroups or in your groups rather. So I will just be reading it from my phone. So our first mentor for today is Miss Omotayo Abiode. Mrs. Omotayo Alemeru Abiode is the founder and lead consultant at Magista Lawyer, where she uses her experience in intellectual property and entertainment law to educate and enlighten creatives and entrepreneurs on how to legalize and protect their brands and innovation. She has a master's degree in intellectual property and policy and has completed several certifications. Sorry, one more minute. Sorry. And she has a master's degree in intellectual property and policy and has completed several certifications in intellectual property with international organizations, including but not limited to World Intellectual Property Organization. Omotayo, also widely known as Magista Lawyer, regularly advises and represents a wide range of brands within and outside Nigeria on transactional commercial issues, including basic and technical legal issues surrounding intellectual property, media, and entertainment, with about 10 years post-call experience and about 5 years active experience in being an IP lawyer and tutor. Omotayo likes to identify herself as a woman in entertainment and intellectual property. She constantly works with entrepreneurs and creatives, and she uses her practical experience to teach intellectual property rights, thereby helping business owners and creative legalize and protect their brands, innovation, creative works effectively. Omotayo has an excellent reputation for constantly sharing great value with her audience online. She has been interviewed on quite a number of shows and international TVs like Arise News, Espade Media in the United States, both digitally and in person, respectively. She has also a YouTube channel, My Digital Lawyer, where she posts legal content on IP, entertainment law, and related content to help business and creators understand how their intellectual property rights, understand their intellectual property rights. She does this across all her social media networks such as Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and TikTok. Omotayo stands out for gender equality in the workplace by using her voice, especially on digital media, to communicate the need to embrace equity as well as celebrate diversity, particularly in the creative community, so women can be given equal opportunity as their main counterparts in every sphere of work. So Ms. Omotayo is our first mentor for today. Right. I'm trying to see if she has joined us. Okay, I don't think she's yet here. I'm sure she'll be joining us shortly. Our second mentor for today, like I mentioned, is Mrs. Amanda Uzoaba, Esquire. Mrs. Amanda Neoma Uzoaba is an entertainment lawyer, award-winning author, entertainment executive slash consultant, public speaker, and legal educator. She holds a law degree from University of Nigeria, Nsukka, that is UNN, and was called to the bar in 2017. She is currently the head of licensing across licensing Africa at Ndumbu, a Pan-African music service company where she oversees licensing operation within West Africa, particularly Ghana and Nigeria. Amanda has facilitated many events, conferences, and webinars targeted at educating entertainers, entrepreneurs, and creatives on the protection of their intellectual property rights. She has more than 8 years of experience in the entertainment industry, starting as a blogger and a PR consultant for record labels before she was called to the Nigerian bar. As an entertainment business executive, she has facilitated and negotiated over $5 million involving catalog sales, endorsement deals, branding, licensing, distribution, publishing deals, recording deals, live events, and so on for an array of artists, record labels, and investors, as well as helping them navigate the complex legal landscape of the music business. She has also worked on more than 45 production exhibited in theater, film festivals, and international streaming platforms, on international streaming platforms. She has also worked on varieties of co-production, developments, and production deals with international studios such as Netflix, Sony Pictures, BBC, Westbrook, AMC, Amazon Prime, Green Door Production, etc. In 2019, Amanda launched her consultancy firm called Goodwill Consults, a boutique consulting firm that focuses on entertainment and creative business, providing a range of service related to the legal and business aspects of entertainment industry. Her diverse background and extensive experience makes her a prominent figure in the intersection of law and the entertainment industry in Nigeria and across the world. So those are our two mentors for today. And I'm sure they will be joining us shortly. Sorry that they are not yet here in this session, but I'm sure once they can, they will be joining us. All right, so before we go ahead, we may be taking a small change in our approach to class today. So before we take our mentor's presentation, we will do well to take presentations from the mentees. So please, if we have the presenters for group 1 and group 2, we'll be taking your presentation right about now. Right. So when we are done with our presentations and we have our mentors on call, they will do well to share with us what they have for us today. So group 1 presenter, kindly go ahead and start your presentation. Hello, can we still hear me? Adinde, Uzioma, I can see you on the call. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I was muted. I didn't know I
All
was
right.
muted.
Oh, no
Um,
problem. So please, you can go ahead and share your screen.
okay, I'm actually trying to like share my screen right now. That was what I was working on. I don't know how to. Please just give me a minute. Let me.
So if you're having issues doing that, so here's what we can do. I can help you share your screen. Okay, I see you have started sharing. So we can see your screen. Please can you go ahead and continue?
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, we can. Yes,
Okay.
we can.
Can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Okay. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I've gotten this done. Um, I'm not really seeing anything either. God, what is this? How do people do this? Please, are the other presenters in group 1 here? So the other members of group 1, please, can you help me out? I'm trying to.
Okay, so if you're having issues with your
Yeah,
screen,
I
you can
actually
stop
don't know how
sharing.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, you can stop sharing and then I'll do that from my end.
Okay. How do I stop? Okay, see, just stop sharing. Please, the
All
other
right.
members of group 1, please just text me on WhatsApp. I don't know how to do this right now.
Okay, see, don't worry. Just go ahead, introduce yourself. I will help you share your screen.
All right, thank you. Okay, I'm Adinde Ojoma Gabriela. I'm the presenter for Group 1, and our major topic today is on film business and law. Basically, we're going to talk about what a film is, who can own a film, then how creators, people that make filmmaking and everything are being paid, and that's just the major thing of what's in our or what's in our this thing. Oh yes, also how film makes money. Yeah, I've already said that. So are you guys seeing the screen? I told you I'm not seeing anything here, but I just hope you're seeing the screen. Okay, thank goodness. Oh, thank you so much, sir. Okay, let me continue from where I stopped. Okay, so basically a film is just, I'm just going to like try and say it in my own words. Then I'm sure you guys are also seeing what it is, but I'm just going to say it in a way I can, and we can both and can all rather understand it. So a film is basically just what okay, it's a visual story, yeah, but it's like basically deals with moving pictures, sounds, and acting. Like it's in both entertainment and business. Then okay, let me click on the introduction aspect. Let's just leave it. How do I go down? Okay, yeah, I'm seeing it. Okay, thank you so much. So film basically combines different art forms like literature, drama. We all know what literature is. We did literature in secondary school. But if people that don't know literature is just like it has a lot of genres like drama, comedy, melodrama, comic drama, and so many other like tragedy. Tragedy is also in literature also. Then music, photography, design, and creates compelling narratives for audience worldwide. So now we're moving on to the next slide, which is who owns a film. Why in Nigeria? Yeah. So in Nigeria, basically, and mostly all over the world. Let me just not put it only in Nigeria. The producer usually owns the film because they are the one that organize and pay for the production, like sponsors, basically. Like now, we'll just talk this about the people that consist on this filmmaking. Like the writer now, the writers owns the script, the composers owns the music, while the actors then however, the actors themselves have performance rights, but this rights are mostly given through producer through contract. And a contract is a written agreement made by two parties with any dealings they have. Like it's has a lot of essentials, which I don't know if there's enough time to start explaining that, but a contract basically means just it has a lot of essentials like offer, consideration, acceptance, and a whole lot of meaning in it. But then just know that rights in which actors have for their films usually given to the producers through contract. Now moving on to the next slide, how films make money. Films get money basically most of the times is mostly from investors. But other times a producer can usually use his own personal money to make a film. Then most of the time it's through streaming platform like live streams and all that. Like I think Twitch is a live stream. Yeah, and YouTube and most of the social media also has live streams too, yeah. The government most of the time fund films. Yeah. I don't want to be biased basically in Nigeria, but yeah, in other countries government do fund films. Then cinema tickets. Like if after a film is being watched now, we all know we go to cinemas to watch movie. Those tickets basically get through payment. That's consideration, which is also in part of the contract, are what they used to make um their fundings for the film. Probably like based on like okay now we've all watched Wednesday, right? So during sorry, let me mute my phone. Yeah. Okay, we've all watched Wednesday, right? So during the season one, basically, I think the whole reason why it even has like season two and three now is because they wanted to see how season one would turn out based on people streaming it online, then people going to cinemas to watch it, and they had a very wonderful turnout during the first season of the film through their tickets, the cinema ticket, and also the streaming, like number of streams they had, and also number of watch they had through YouTube and downloads through online websites. So yeah, it encourages them. Let me just put it that way. It encourages them to like produce more seasons and the rest. That's why most of the um movies we have these days have like up to like 10 seasons. Like Bridgerton now, I think it's like the season 5 or something. Anyways, let's continue with the next slide. Um, Next slide, which is on okay, right transfer and joint ownership. Okay, no, this is not what's on my this thing though. Let's try distributing on collective mind. Okay, let's just go with this one now. Right transfer and joint ownership. Right transfer in contract. Okay, I think I'm going to pick on the law aspect of contracts now here. A contract is a written agreement made by two. I've already said this earlier, but I'm just going to say it again. A written agreement made by two parties, which which needs to have consideration for it to be valid. So here we have right transfer and contract, written assignment required. Any assignment of copyright must be in writing. Yeah, a contract must be in writing for it to be valid, but most of the times, but okay, let me not go too deep. As long as it's being signed, it's a valid contract. Let's not go too deep on that. So no automatic work for hire. Nigeria law has no automatic work for hire rule. Even an employee's creation vests in the employee by default. License and use rights. Owners grant license for specific rights. Yeah, that's theatrical, TV, streaming, DVD, exclusive license must be written. All contract has to be written down for it to be valid. If not, to just be hearsay, and nobody has trained to look for hearsay, like bringing in witnesses to know if this is true or not. It has to be written down. It has to be signed. It has to be sealed and stamped. If possible, let it be deed. But that's like too deep on the aspect of law. Joint ownership. Legal recognition. The copyrights provide for joint ownership when creators collaborate so their contributions from inseparate parts of a whole. Intentions, joint owners, co-family. Okay, this is based on copyright. Copyright is just basically it just means like you have the legal ownership of a particular film and no one can copy it. Even if they want to copy it, it'll just be like a parody, or to just be like, I don't know, they'll still have to tag you in it. Like they will still have to write that this is from this particular entertainment industry, and it's they don't have any right towards the profit being through that copyright videos. Then the next slide, please. Sorry, sir, please, how many minutes is this presentation?
So you have 15 minutes for your presentation.
15 minutes. Okay. Okay, thank you. Please, can I see the screen roll? Like, please go down. Financing. Personal capital and private equity. Okay. The foundation of Nollywood financing has always been personal savings, family support, and what else? Oh my goodness, this is so long. Please, can you change to the next slide? This is. I didn't read this one. Okay, simple financial.
So can I confirm that this is your slide? This is actually your presentation, your group's presentation, right?
They're actually like two. I don't know. We made one initially. Like, is this 18 pages?
I am not sure about that, but this was the one that
Okay, we
was
had
submitted.
um two slides, but we chose one, and this is looking totally different from what. My goodness gracious me.
All right, please give me a moment. Let me confirm that it is the right slide I'm displaying.
Let me check too, because this is not what I planned on. This is not what I. Okay, no, that's not the slides. It's a totally different one.
Okay.
I was like wondering what's happening because it's not supposed to be more than.
All right, please give me a moment still. Sorry about the hiccup. I thought it was your slides.
It's
I
alright,
thought it
so.
was your slides we were on.
So Dennis, are you trying to help us share the slides?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So please confirm if these are your slides or this is your slides.
No, this is not it.
Okay. So
No,
those are
legal
the two
structure.
slides. Those are the two slides that we have,
So it
or
is.
we have. Yes. So please, can you go ahead and share from your own end?
All right, please wait. David, please, are you here?
While we're on it, can we have like the mentor introduce herself, maybe
All right.
All right, so please,
yourself?
we'll get back to your presentation. Sorry about the hiccup from our own end, and from the ends of the mentees. Please, while we wait to take your presentation, we have our mentor in class, that's Miss Amanda Uzoagba. Thank you so much, Ma, for joining. We are happy to have you in the session. So we'll be getting back to the mentees presentation. Please, you guys should try as possible your possible best to sort out the arrangement of your slides so that when we call you up next, you will be in a better space to share it, and then we'll have your presentation. But for now, we'll be taking introduction from Mrs. Amanda Uzoagba. Mrs. Amanda, if you are with us now, we would like to hear from you now. You're welcome. Huh? Hello, Mrs. Amanda.
Miss Amanda, no Mrs. Hi, good evening,
Okay,
everyone.
sorry. Good evening now.
Good evening. Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear what you said before you called my name, so can you just repeat? Sorry.
All right, I said we'll be taking introductions from you, Ma. Our topic for today is film business and law, so we just wanted to hear your introduction on the topic.
Okay, before the slides come on, because I shared my slide with you guys.
Yes, Ma, we'll be sharing your slides very soon. We'll just do that shortly.
Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. I trust you've had a good day. It's been a long day for myself, but I trust you've had a better day. I'm really hoping you've had a better day than myself. So the topic for today, or rather what we are going to be discussing today, is film business and law. And my idea is basically to introduce you to it. If this is the first time you're getting involved or you're listening to someone talk about the film business, it's just to lay down the foundation and then possibly plant a seed for a deeper understanding, or rather a deeper search for the knowledge of how the film industry works. So while we wait for the slide to come on, basically, like I mentioned initially, I'll be touching just on the surface level of things. After hearing everything I'm going to say, if you have particular questions, then you can ask. Most of the conversations we're going to be having today on my presentation is broken down into understanding the different stages of production, the key players in the film, or rather different stages of production, or different stages of things that go on in the film industry, understanding the key players of industry, understanding what is known as chain of title. That's something you're going to come across very often in the film industry. Also understanding the regulatory and the local compliance part of things, common contracts you're going to be meeting in the industry, the place of music or the role of music in the film industry. Basically, the plan is for it to be a very short and sweet presentation of the slide, and then open up the floor for more questions, or questions that would basically deepen your understanding of the film industry, or better deepen the entire conversation we're going to have. So please, next slide. So basically, a swift introduction of the film industry. You're going to either be saying motion picture industry or film industry. Both mean the same. Most times in the industry, they prefer to call it motion picture because when you get into the industry, there are different types of productions. You have your film, the feature film, which is the everyday one. You all watch the film you watch in cinema. You have a feature film. You have your short film. You have your limited series, you have your scripted series, you have non-scripted series. Different between scripted, non-scripted. Non-scripted are the shows. They are still scripted, but to an extent, it's supposed to depict real life. So all them Real Housewives of Lagos and all of that. Then you have the scripted series, which is the ones you enjoy, the Bones, the Criminal Minds, and all of that. They have limited series, which are the short ones. So in all on all, and also within the industry, you have TV, you have television, that's TV, television, you have the satellite series that runs and everything. So most times we just prefer to refer to it as motion picture. And the motion picture industry comprises the technological and commercial institution of filmmaking. Example, film production, studio, cinematography, animation, scripts, screenwriting, distribution, etc. The Nigerian industry known as Nollywood can be attributed to have originated in 1992 and over time has become much bigger than anyone expected, with the major production centers being Lagos, Onitsha, Enugu, Asaba, Abuja, and other areas also still coming up. Next slide. So yeah, basically to understand the life cycle of a motion picture, the life cycle of a film, you need to understand the different stages. So let's get to the next slide and I'll come back to this slide. Let's go to the next slide, please. There are 6 major stages of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th one can be split into 2. So I would say there are 6 major stages of production. Everyone knows of when we're filming. When they are filming, when actors are on sets, people think that that's when the production life begins, but that's not the case. You have the development stage. Development stage is basically the foundation. There are a lot of stories that are being developed currently, investors are being found for, studios are being found for, production companies are still deciding what they can do to develop the story. A lot of them that are being developed currently might not get to filming or production stage till next 10 years, because the development stage is basically the conception stage. This is where you're not sure of the future of this story, but you know that there's something here worth fighting for. So within this stage, this is where you start looking for your writers to develop your story better. This is where you start looking for financiers to bring money. This is where you start looking for the Netflix, the Amazon to see if they're interested in the story as an original. This is where you start looking for production companies if you're a script writer or you're a producer without a company. This is where you start looking for companies or you start setting up your own, basically developing the story, putting the concept or conceptualizing the story, taking it from I just want to do something into something that is fixed, into something that you can use to create a plan, if that makes sense. After the development stage, you have the pre-production stage. Between development and pre-production stage, it can be a 5-year gap, it can be a 10 years gap, it can be a 1-year gap. But the moment a story or a moment a production goes into pre-production stage, then that means certain things have been locked in. That means your script is ready to a huge extent. At most, a few rewrites based on the director's notes. Within pre-production, that means you already have your producers, the production company that will be making the movie, locked down. It means that you have, to an extent, at least 50 to 80% of your budget locked in. You already have your financiers on board. Within this pre-production stage, you're casting for the actors that will come on board. You're looking for your production crew. You're doing recce for your location to find the location that you're going to use to film. The pre-production stage is what many people know as the first stage of production, because at this point, you know that in next 2, 3, 4 months, there's a filming that is going to take place, there's a set that is going to take place. After pre-production, we have your production stage. Your production stage is now when you go into principal photography. That's when you start filming. That's when you hear actors on set. That's when you hear, oh, we're in filming, we're doing this, we're doing that. And after production stage, you have post-production. Post-production is where the editing takes place, the music comes in, the clearance of third-party materials comes in, your QCs, your crediting, everything that goes on to ensure that the film now has moved from a raw material into something that can be released in cinemas and can be released anywhere and people will enjoy it. All of that takes place in post-production stage. Then, like I said, the fifth stage, you can split into two. You have the distribution stage first. Distribution stage is that you're done with your post-production, your film is ready to go out, and then you send it across to a distributor. Now, the reason why I made distribution and exhibition stage is that if, for example, during your development stage, the production company locked in a deal with, say, a Netflix to make it into they entered a Netflix deal for an original, a co-production deal, which means they don't have to look for someone to exhibit the movie, which means they don't have to start coming up with a plan on how they want to push the movie to the public because they have a deal that's really locked in and said once the film is ready, it goes on Netflix. Then at that stage, it jumps the distribution stage and goes straight to exhibition. But in the natural cycle of things, you go to distribution stage. That's when you take your movie to your production, be it a short film, a limited, whatever it is, you take your production to a, what's it called? You take your production to a distributor, and then the distributor then comes up with a plan. Are we going to cinema? Are we going to festivals? Are you going to streaming platforms? Are you going to yada, yada, yada? They come up with that plan. And after a distribution stage, you have the exhibition stage. Exhibition stage is when me, you, everybody can then watch the film, be it from the comfort of their home, be it at cinemas, be it at festivals, be it at events, be it on airlines, any form of exhibition showing the movie to the public happens within that stage. So let's go back to the previous slide, please. So like I've broken down during development, basically what's happening here is your idea generation, script writing, packaging, market research, securing finance, and also securing your legal rights. Under pre-production, we have the budgeting and scheduling, casting, location scouting, set and costume design, and your shortlist. Within your production stages, when you now film, your principal photography, setting up shots, directing cast and crew, and your daily rushes. Within post-production, we have picture editing, sound design, VFX, that's visual effects, music composition, color correction. And in distribution, you then have your marketing and trailers, film festivals, theatrical release, strategy, sales agents, licensing. And lastly, exploitation, where you have your theatrical exhibition, home video, streaming, television, in-flight entertainment. So let's move on to next two slides, please. All right. Now understanding the key players in the industry. With each stage that I mentioned initially, there are people that are beyond the people that everyone knows that play a crucial role in the industry because of the way the industry works around celebrities. People think that within the film industry, what you basically have is the actors. At most, after the actors, you have the writers, the producers, and the directors. And that is it. But it's much bigger than that. So within your development stage and financing stage, key players you're going to meet within this stage are the screenwriters, independent producer, let's just say producers generally, executive producers, which are basically the guys funding it, and development executive. Development executive here is when you get into the intricacy of film industry, you understand of film business, you understand that I, as a production company, can decide that I like a story, I invest in developing the story, but I don't have an intention to make this story into a film or a limited series or anything, or I don't have the money to go all the way. So I do one of two things. Either I develop the story to the point that it becomes viable and viable commercially, or it becomes something that is very attractive. Then I go and look for another production company to collaborate with me, or I sell that script to a production company. So those are the guys that are known as development executive. What they basically do is to puff up a story, give that story that's seem like it doesn't have potential, the opportunity to be passed around, or the opportunity to be debated on, or the opportunity to at least get into certain rooms. Those are development executive. Within your pre-production stage, key people you're going to meet here are the casting directors, pre-production, or rather casting director, production designers, your line producer, and location manager. Doesn't mean there are no other guys here. Like I said, we've already excluded basically the producer, the director, the writers, because a lot of people seem to know them. But within this stage, these guys mentioned are also guys that will determine or shape how the production goes in the long run. Now, while on set during the production stage, you have the cinematographer or DP, which also would be called DPO, basically a director of photography, or DP or cinematographer. You have your gaffer. The gaffer is guys in charge of lights. You have your key grip. Those are guys in charge of movement of camera and all of that. You have script supervisors. You have your actors, basically your crew, your actors, everyone within this stage. Now, under post-production, key players you're going to see here are the editors, the sound designers, the composers, the VFX supervisors, the colorists. Another person here that is also very key are the guys that are going to be handling the QC, the quality control for your film or your production. And then moving on to distribution and exhibition stage, key players here you're going to meet are distribution executive, which is the film ones and all of these guys, the publicists, theater owners, because either ways, even after you get your censorship, even after distributors place your movie within theaters, you still have to have a great relationship with theater owners for you to get like really great viewing times in theaters. All of this still determines how your production is going to better perform if it hits the theater or the cinemas. I have your sales agents. Sales agents are basically the guys that then, after your theatrical runs, they are the guys that take your production and then go and shop for streaming platforms, festivals, in-flight entertainment, out of country TV stations, basically any form of exploitation for the extent of rights that you have. So sales agents. Moving on to next slide. Now, chain of title. Chain of title is something that you cannot operate in the film industry without knowing. Be it as a lawyer, be it as an executive, and most especially as a lawyer, because this is something that you have to maintain. Chain of title is basically a documented record that proves who owns and controls the rights in a motion picture project, from the original source material through all subsequent transfers, contributions, and licenses. For example, I want to believe most of you are conversant with land law. When you're doing land law, they'll tell you that before you buy land, you go to the ministry, you go and investigate the title, ensure there's no encumbrance, ensure it's a clean title before the person buys it. That's basically what it is in the film industry. Before any streaming platform touch any movie, they have to investigate and confirm the authenticity of the chain of title. Basically, because of the fact that there's a lot of contributing factors or a lot of contributors to make a movie or make a production what it is, even down to a cinematographer, down to a photographer, down to a waka pass cast. Each person has their rights. Even if you know intellectual property is your economic rights and your moral rights, there's a form of rights that each person that contributes or participates in any production has, and all of those rights has to be transferred to the producer or the production company before any streaming platform can touch it. So if there's a non-defective, if you have a defective chain of title, which means along the way there's somewhere it's broken, there's somewhere we can be found that, okay, this person transfer it, or at this point there's no clear chain of ownership. You can call chain of title as clear chain of ownership. Where there's no clear chain of ownership, no streaming platform wants to touch that production because nobody wants any lawsuits. Now, consequence of a defective chain of title distribution block, like I mentioned, nobody wants to touch it. An example I would give is, in as much as I will give this example because it came to the public, so most people knew it. When Oloture was launched on streaming platform, Oloture Part 1 came out. we had a newspaper, or we had a journalist that came out and said that that's her story. So basically, what everybody would do, or what most were trying to get the attention of people would do, is that the journalist wrote to Netflix and said, "Oh, I know the story, and these guys don't have the right to push the story." And automatically, that means that there's every possibility that chain of title Ebola Life claims to have might be defective, because there's a right that is lingering. Netflix wrote to us and said, "Look at this situation, investigate it." And it was investigated and it was treated and everything was handled. But just to understand the severity of the case, Moabudu could have received it and said, "Oh no, I don't care. People will talk, is that people will talk." But no, because if we hadn't dealt with that matter, Netflix could have easily canceled the deal, pull it back, and then drop the production on that from your platform. And beyond you losing that distribution, it also damages your reputation. Tomorrow, if you come to Netflix and say, "Oh, I want to do business with you," they have to double check and carry out severe due diligence on whatever you're saying and not take your words for it. So this chain of title or chain of title is something that is very, very important in your production. The third thing, I've mentioned distribution block, I've mentioned reputational damage. Another consequences could be injunctions and takedown orders. So you could get an injunction from a third party that contributed on your work, that you don't have the right to exploit this work because their rights are still pending and they've not given permission to do that. You obviously know that any right that is not cleared or transferred to you can't exactly do, not exactly, you cannot do anything on such rights without the person's permission. So the person can give a takedown notice to a YouTube for them to take that removal. And I'm not even talking about streaming platform, I'm talking about something as small as YouTube. That's why you notice that I think Love in Every Word got taken down for a particular reason. Bimbo Ademoye has also faced similar situation. We've had a lot of producers on the YouTube front that their films got taken down, maybe because there's an uncleared footage that was included or an uncleared music that was included. All of that depicts a defective chain of title. Another consequence could be costly litigation and settlements. If obviously you're not settling out of court and you're found to be one thing, then that can be very expensive for you. And you just have the payment clawbacks and contractual penalties. I'll put this part as to still an example because this didn't come out, but since we're sharing here, when we released Blood Sisters, there's a scene in Blood Sisters, I think the first episode, where we had played a Flavour song. Now in that situation, we had written to Flavour saying that we needed permission for his song, or rather written to the what's it called? It wasn't okay. We had a Flavour song, we had another song. For Flavour song, we hadn't written to anybody. That was an oversight because the director and the music scorer took that decision without telling anybody. And then we found out and we had to start clearing it after the film came out. Another one that was included, an old song. This is a song that came out in like early 90s, late 80s that were included. We were already speaking to the publisher. Our publisher was calling an amount that was a bit too much for us. And then we had told the director and the music not doing, we're going to use the song because it was not cleared. Unfortunately, they did that. It passed QC. The final edit was not inspected by us and was pushed to Netflix and it got released. And by the time we went back to those guys for them to then clear those songs, obviously they had an advantage. The money was almost doubled. We had only two options, either to take down the film, the limited series from Netflix, redo QC to remove that song, and re-upload it, or pay them. And both options were too expensive. So we ended up paying them, but we would have been in a better situation if that didn't happen or if we had cleared the song at first. So all of that, even down to someone's artwork being in your production, even down to a fashion piece that wasn't cleared being in your production, all of that can result to a defective chain of title. So like I said, it's the responsibility of every lawyer working on any production to ensure that there's no form of a broken paper trail at all, in order to allow the production company or the producer to commercially exploit the production they have made. Next slide, please. Was this double? Next slide. Okay, So now the chain of titles, the paper trail we are talking about now are contracts, basically. Because again, I think I've mentioned this part, so without repeating myself, for someone to transfer their rights to you, it can be done with a contract, or it's usually done with contract. So because of chain of title, contract is very important in your production or anything you're doing. So basically, to read what I wrote, motion picture industry is truly an exciting world where actors bring characters to life and production companies create memorable films. However, behind the glitz and glam lies a crucial element that keeps everyone in order, and that is contract. Whether you're an actor, crew member, or a part of a production company, understanding the importance of contracts can make or break your career. Now, contracts basically, like I said, it helps to curtail disputes, helps to avoid misunderstandings, it helps for parties to understand what each person is bringing to the table. It clears up the terms of your intellectual property rights. If you're transferring rights, if you're earning anything from the back end, if you're holding back some of your rights, yada, 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 from literally the person that wrote the script down to the person that did the final edit before it went on. Every single person, even down to distributor, that one is just normal contract, but every single person, for the sake of chain of title, that creatively contributed to a work, is very important for the person to sign a contract. Next slide. There are certain contracts that are very crucial. Now, I named out a few, but these are not all of the contracts. These are the essential ones that you basically will not be able to operate in the film industry without knowing. First one is your non-disclosure agreement. Because of the fact that during during development stage, a lot of things that are going on at that point are just conversations. Do you get? So, for example, you have a story, but you're telling the story with word of mouth, not exactly in a written form. Maybe I could call you and say, oh, I have this story, this. Or I could just send you a log line or a summary of the story I want to tell via email. Things like that, a lot of things within development stage are not in a fixed form. Because of that, it's very important to have it's very important for an NDA to be executed before you share your rights. Sorry, before you share your plans with anybody. So first, we have non-disclosure agreement. We also have shop agreement. We also have the attachment agreement. Now, the difference between a shopping agreement and attachment agreement is that for a shopping agreement, you're basically giving someone the right, because of the fact that one person doesn't know everybody in the industry. So a shopping agreement means I'm giving someone the permission to take my film into the industry or into the world and find someone that's interested in my story, interested in my film or something. One attachment agreement means I want to lock down a producer, I want to lock down a distributor, I want to lock down an actor, but I don't have the money to make my film yet. So I attach you to my project. I give you an attachment agreement. Maybe I give you an attachment fee first, and we negotiate your fee long term. And then when it's time for the project, when I finally have money for the project, I automatically have you. I don't have to start searching for your availability or start speaking to you. You're already attached to the project. Another benefit of this is that having certain names attached to your project makes it easier, or makes it easier for producers, especially first-time producers or guys that have not done anything big. It makes it easier for them to get funding from certain people. So they make use of this a lot. Then you have your pre-sale agreement or sale agent agreement. Depending on what, pre-sale could be your film is not yet made, but you're looking for opportunities or people that will come on board to buy your film, or you're looking for people that will come on board to commission your film. This is a Netflix. Why your sales agent agreement is an agreement with a sales agent saying, oh, my film has been made, I'm ready for you to be put out there, take the film, go into the world and plug us in. This is what it is. These are the rights we are giving you. And the rights are not intellectual property rights. It's basically right for you to have conversation on our behalf. And then when you find anything, it's similar to a shopping agreement, but a shopping agreement can happen when your film is ready or not. Usually shopping agreements happen when your film is not ready, when you're looking for a financier. Why sales agent agreement happens after your film has been made and looking for methods, or rather means of exploitation. Then you have your writer agreement, your story consultant agreement, story contributor agreement, option agreement, script development agreement. I wish I could go through each one by one, but I'm trying to not let this be too long. So you can just read up on what each of these agreements mean. And then if you have any question, you can always reach out to me. Script development agreement, rights acquisition agreement. Option agreement and rights acquisition agreement are two different things. Option agreement is permission for me to take rights to your movie, or sorry, take rights to your story, and then go and shop for financiers or make it into a story. I'm not acquiring it, but within that period, I'm saying, give it to me. You can't give anybody the rights to make this movie. Let me go and look for money. Sorry, to make your story into a production. Let me go and look for money. And if I find money, I will come back and make it into a production, if that makes sense. While rights acquisition agreement is then, after I found the financing, after I found the money and I'm ready to make the movie or making the production into an actual production, then I take the money and eventually, sorry about the noise in the background, just ignore. I will take the money and then, after the option agreements, I got distracted a bit. So like I said, option agreement is permission to take rights to your movie, take rights to your story, but I'm not acquiring those rights. I'm just borrowing it to go and look for money. Now, option periods are usually 3 to 5 years. After that period has elapsed, whether I found the money or not, it's not the writer's business. The writer takes the story back and can do whatever. Now, within that short period or the option period I have, if I eventually get the money, get financing, get production company, if I succeed in my search and I'm ready to then make this story into a film or into a production, then you give the person a rights acquisition agreement to acquire the rights in the story. So they go side by side, depending on the success of the producer or production company. Then you have your production financing agreement, producer agreement, DOP agreement, production service agreement, director agreement, production crew agreement, cast agreement, release forms, music license agreement, music scoring agreement, post-production agreement, license agreement, distribution agreement. Next slide, please. So financing and recoupment. This is a very huge part of film production, and I actually want to touch on this a bit because this is because of the way the landscape of the film business is and the way most times people relegate the duties and the efforts of lawyers to just legal work. Most film lawyers don't understand how film financing works, or they don't understand how to go about it. So I wanted to touch on this a bit. Like I said, everything is just foundational. It's just surface level. Hopefully it builds an interest for you to now do a deeper research. So in motion picture financing, there are two major types of financing, which all forms of financing falls under. Number one is the debt financing. Two is equity financing. Debt financing is basically when someone is lending you money. It's when someone is giving you money to make your film or your production, and at the end of the day, when you start making money back, you pay the person back the money. At most, you can pay the person back with some interest on top as return of investment. It's like a loan. It's like someone loaning you the money and then you taking the money, make your film. Once your film is made, that money starts coming in, you pay the person back plus interest, depending on what people agree, and that's it. Why equity financing is when someone say, I believe in your story, I believe in what you have, and instead of me lending you this money, let me invest in it. I'm going to give you this amount of money. How much is your budget? Oh, you need 100 million naira to shoot this film. Okay, fine. I'll give you 80 million naira for 80% of film. Or I'll give you 100 million naira to own 90% of film. You can hold 10% because of your creative angle of things or something. So that's what equity financing means. Equity financing literally means I have some skin in the game. I'm investing in it. So when it comes to recoupment, both parties recoup differently. For debt financing, once your movie starts making money, you pay off your debt. You pay off the money that was invested in the money that was invested in the production, and that's it. You can move to the next slide. You can pay off the investments or the money that was invested, and that's it. Usually for recoupment, the debt financing guys are paid off first because that is it. But equity financing, depending on if you agreed for a limited period of time or for the lifetime of the film or the production, and how many percent the person enjoys beyond everything. Now, equity financing is a high risk investment because if there's loss, if the film did not perform well, the investor loses his what's it called? He loses his investment. There's no, oh, if you're losing, I'm winning. No. If I'm winning, if the film is winning, everyone is winning. If the film is losing, we're all losing. And at the same time, if the film is making mega cash, then with equity financing, the person can have two options. Some guys will structure equity financing in a way that you pay me back my whole investments, invested fee, or how much I invested at first, and I get this percentage moving forward for this number of years. Why some people say, oh, forget what I invested. Even if I invested $20 billion, leave it. What I know is that for the lifetime of this film, as long as this film is making money, I'm entitled to 50%, I'm entitled to 60%. In that way, when it comes to recruitment, the money that comes in first is treated those that are on a debt format. And after it, the equity guys keep earning and earning and earning continually. If it's for the lifetime of the movie or if for a fixed period of time, they keep earning. So another thing you should get acquainted with is back-end revenue participation. Most times we'll call it back-end profit participation, but I prefer to call it back-end revenue participation because sometimes with some productions or some kind of deals, what you're participating in is not, what you're participating in is not exactly the profit, but the entire revenue. So to explain back-end revenue participation, the process of participating in the revenue generated from the back end of the motion picture project, which is basically participating in the revenue generated from exploitation of the motion picture. So there are some key terms I've mentioned there that you have to note, understand, and look out for them. Gross receipts, net receipts, theatrical runs, P&A, distributor fee, QC, and deductions. Deductions could mean anything depending on the territory you're providing services for. So for each territory that the production is taking place in, you just have to understand what are the expected or regulatory deductions. So you can put aside deductions that just doesn't make sense that it's been included. QC is quality control. Sometimes people go as far as paying a lot of money for QC, depending on the platform. For example, when I was at Ebony Life and it was a lot of Netflix production, I know they had insisted on a studio in South Africa doing the QC, and it costs money. So all of those monies will be paid by the production company, and then it will be deducted from revenue generated so they can make their money back, basically. Then you have the distributor's fee. If you're using a distributor, obviously the distributor has its cut, 20%, 15%, 10%. Some distributors have an amount of money that they'll charge you upfront, which is where the P&A comes in. P&A is prints and advertisement. Some of them will tell you, especially when you're going to theater, they'll tell you that, oh, they need to do flyers, they need to do billboards, they need to do this, that. And they have two ways of generating the funds. Either they ask you for an upfront payment where you pay them for your P&A, or they advance it from their pocket and then deduct it from money being made. You need to understand this. Also, another thing I didn't mention here, you need to understand is tax. Now, depending on the territories. Now, if you have a theatrical run in South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, the deductions are not going to be the same because the tax laws are different. The tax rates are different. And beyond tax on VAT, there's also entertainment tax. So you need to understand, depending on the extent of rights you're performing, the extent of services you're performing, you need to understand the tax rates for each of those countries. So when the final copy, or rather final report comes in for your client, some of them, especially guys that are new into investing in film, will always send it to their lawyer to confirm everything looks right. So you need to be able to put and select and calculate, okay, yes, these guys took this during theatrical runs, the theater took this percentage, the distributors took this percentage went to tax, everything looks okay, and the amount of money that came to us. For example, you can see a movie that they'll say generated 100 million naira. Out of that 100 million naira, is probably 12 million that got to the producers. That happens. But you need to understand where all of those deductions are coming in and if they are regulatory deductions. So gross receipts, net receipt, I believe everybody knows that, but you need to understand how it plays out on whatever agreement, whether it's a distributor agreement, whether it's a film financing agreement, whatever agreement that you are writing. For example, if you want to give a percentage to an actor, you can't say, oh, I'll give you 5% of revenue generated. Gross, net, generated from theatrical run, generated from SVOD runs, for how many times, once, all those things. So that's why it's also important for you to understand where or how they come into things. It's important to be clear on if the beneficiary of this participation is enjoying back-end revenue participation or back-end profit participation. As with the latter, the participation is pertaining strictly to the profits after other essential deductions and recoupment have taken place. Beyond investors and producers, other third parties like actors, crew, writers, artists, etc. can also be beneficiaries of back-end revenue participation, depending on the agreement with the producer or production company. So basically, like I explained earlier, if it's a back-end revenue participation thing, then you know at most the only thing that will be deducted are the distributor's fee, maybe P&A, any deduction, tax, and all of that. The fresh money next, the person is sharing from it. But if it's a profit participation, then that means investors have to be paid, certain things have to take place first, and then what the company or the production company or the producer can confirm is their profits is now what the person gets to participate in. Next slide, please. So there are some practical areas in the film industry or film business and law. I don't have the time to explain each of these, but I will employ you to take your time and read up on this. It will put you very much apart from a lot of people coming into the industry, because I know guys have been here longer than myself that don't even understand half of this. So I have a production financing, the part I kind of just swept through or just went through briefly. You have a co-production and physical production deals, shopping and attachment, I mentioned it briefly, turnarounds, very important, life story rights, very important, special purpose vehicle, SPV. Anytime you think of SPV, think of what's it called? What's this called? I've forgotten the actual word, but SPV just means people coming together like a partnership, or we're coming together to form a company, and this company we're forming is strictly to either make movies or strictly to make a particular movie and own the right to a movie. So it's a special purpose vehicle. It's being registered, it's usually registered as a normal company, or it could be 3 different companies coming together to register one company, but that sole company or the reason for that particular company is just to make a movie or to own a slate of movies. So also understanding script or story development, option deals, production deal structuring, production sponsorships, okay, special purpose vehicles mentioned twice, location recce, production scheduling, filming permits, production insurance or error and omission insurance, also known as E&O insurance, equipment rental, barter deals, Q sheet inspections and verifications, third-party clearance and due diligence, censorships. These are very practical aspects of film business that you need to, one way or the other, know and understand to better set yourself apart and to better provide services to producers or to production company. If I should take anyone, to be Q sheets, inspection and verification, because most times lawyers think that their job only ends when they finish all the contract, and by the time they are done with post-production agreements, they are done. That's not it. Your work also gets to the part of confirming that your Q sheet is basically an Excel sheet detailing all of the songs or the sounds that are incorporated in a film and the timestamp where they appeared. So you need to be able to sit down and watch the movie side by side. That's the inspection and verification part. Watch the production side by side with the Q sheet, and then inspect that each sounds are accounted for. Each scored sound is accounted for. Each library music is accounted for. Each commercial music is accounted for, and part of the music that you cleared. And only after you're done with that can you now say, okay, yes, on this music part, my job is done. Moving on to the next slide, please. Then regulatory and local compliance. The major regulatory body for Nollywood is the Nigerian Film and Video Censor Board, NVCB. These guys' actions are basically centered on balancing artistic freedom with protection of public morality, national security, and cultural integrity. They are the guys in charge of censorship. They are the guys that will tell you, I don't know that you guys were aware of the news that came up. I think when they amended their laws a few periods ago, that we are talking about how we are not going to be allowing movies that portrayed a lot of rituals, that portrayed a lot of Yahoo boys, that is not portraying the country in the right light. If you are aware of that, these are the guys. So their core regulatory actions can be categorized into 4 primary pillars: censorship and classification. Censorship is the movie is right to go into cinema. Classification is what is the age grade? Is it 13 and 8 years? What persons is this classified of? Is this a V, like violence, sexual content, all of that? They handle that classification. Also, licensing and registration. Licensing and registration for exhibitors, distributors, and professionals. Now, for your cinemas to operate, they need a license. For distributors to operate, they need a license. Certain professionals, and part of professionals is basically, back in the day, they are the guys, I don't know how effective it is now, but they are the guys that help checkmate most of these guilds and ensure that any professional is properly registered and getting the training that they deserve. So if I come out and beat my chest and say I'm a gaffer, then I need to have proof from them that actually I have the professional standing to provide services of a gaffer. Then they also have the monitoring and enforcement on the part of piracy and approval of promotional materials. Before most of your billboards, before most of your posters go out, per what the law says now, I don't know how practical it is on applicability part of things. We're so submitted to it and they're supposed to approve it. They have the policy reforms and modernization. Now, aside from that, other regulatory or compliance bodies we have in film industry, the Nigerian Copyright Commission, we all know that, NCC. We have Nigerian Film and Film Corporation, NFC, NFC. So the difference between these guys and NFC is that these guys regulate. NFC basically gives a structure for you to find grants and you to find people that would basically fund your movies. That's what they do. On part of their success level, I cannot attest to that. They have Nigerian Broadcasting Commission. This is basically for your TV, anything going on satellite, anything that is being broadcasted. Then we have the Lagos State Film and Video Censor Board. Difference between these two is that these guys, NVCB, is more of national. Now, for Lagos State Video and Censor Board, they are the guys that handle filming permits. So they are the guys that had issue with what's her name, Jade, when Gangs of Lagos came out, because Lagos was not portrayed in the new light. And after then, I think before Gang of Lagos, for you to get filming permits in Lagos, you just write a letter and give details. You just say, because of how Lagos is networked and because of how busy Lagos is, you can't exactly just pop up somewhere and put barricade and start shooting movie and nobody will talk to you. In other areas, you could fly, but in Lagos, for you to do that, you have a permit from the government saying, I'm giving permission for this number of days to block any road or to block anything or do this or do that to shoot your film, be it outside or inside. So back in the day, just write a letter, tell them this is the storyline I'm trying to tell. These are the number of cast I have on set. This number of crew I have on set. This number of days I'm going to shoot. And based on that, they do their calculation and tell you how much you pay for filming permits. Now, post Gang of Lagos, what still happen is for you to get filming permit, they'll start requesting for your script for them to verify that the stories that you want to tell. Because again, NVC and NFVCB, the national body, don't do that. They don't give permits, so they don't get to checkmate the movie before it's made. They only get to checkmate the movie after it's made. And after it's made, if you don't get censorship, it doesn't mean your movie cannot be exhibited. The only thing is that your channels reduce. Your movies can still go to streaming platform outside. Your movies outside Nigeria, your movies can still be shown at festivals. You can still do community cinemas for your movie without necessarily passing through the system. So it just shrinks your opportunity, but doesn't mean that they're going to throw your movie away. But these guys are trying to nip it at the bud, where if your movie is telling stories that depict Lagos or Nigeria in a certain way, they don't agree, they will give you filming permits. And then you have the professional guilds, the AGN, Actors Guild of Nigeria, DGN, Directors Guild of Nigeria, AMP, what they call them, what they call them, Association of Movie Producers, and so on. Next slide, please. So I think next slide we have is then the place of music in film conversation or in film. Next slide. So music, we've always heard music as or rather people have always looked at music as a secondary part of film or something that don't play. Music plays more vital role in the film industry than any other creative art, any other form of expression, because movie makes your story make sense. Have you ever watched a film or a series without scoring, without sound effects? It's just bland. But at the same time, there's some movies that you watch or some series that you watch, and it's the sound you're hearing that will provoke the emotions that that particular scene wants. That's what music do. Or sorry, that's what music does. So there are two forms or two ways that music interacts in the film industry. One is music licensing. Two is music composition. Music licensing simply means the transfer of exclusive or non-exclusive rights. In the film industry, mainly exclusive rights. Mainly non-exclusive rights, authorization or permission to take another person's work or permitting them to reproduce, publish, perform, make translations and adaptations, broadcast or distribute a musical composition or sound recording for commercial purposes. In film industry, basically means me taking your music to put in my film for a period of time or for a lifetime of film, but on a non-exclusive basis. While music composition means where original sounds or songs are made on the commission of a producer or production company for its motion picture, either a feature film, short film, limited series, or otherwise. The original songs can be released commercially on the mutual agreement of the composer and the producer or production company alongside the motion picture separately. Now, when it comes to composition, music composition in the film industry, not every song that is composed is released commercially, because some songs can be composed and is not a full song. So under composition, we have what we call scoring. Music scoring is basically when you're playing a film, or rather a film is being watched, and you just need an emotion, or you just need a sound that will provoke an emotion. So things like dun 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 for a scary scene, or that chilling noise of or maybe something that is depicting fear. All of that are just sounds. They are scores, they are music scoring. They are sounds that just expresses an emotion you're supposed to feel within that time. And then you have the composition as to actual music that can be released after the film. Actual music that is, for example, I think an example I have here, which is of recent, is Bimbo's film, the one she did with Uzarukwe, I can't remember the name. And then there was a song that was made by Ugochi, Ihunayam. Now that song, when it was originally composed, it wasn't a full song, it's just a version of the song or a chorus that was listened to. And after the film came out, I don't know whether it was an agreement of both parties, but Ugochi ended up recording the full song and releasing it. So sometimes under music composition, the full songs are not registered, are not recorded. It's just maybe a particular part that is composed. And then if it seems to be having traction, that's why sometimes it can be released afterwards. If it seems to be having traction, the producer and the artist and everybody can go back to the studio and say, you know what, let's extend this to a full track and have it released. So in that situation, when it's released, both parties know how they share, who owns masters and who owns publishing. I don't want to go into that now. Moving on to the next slide. I believe that's the last slide, hopefully. So here, these are agreements that are needed in this situation. Even music being incorporated from via music licensing, you need either a master's use license agreement, synchronization license agreement, or master's use and synchronization license agreement, depending on the part of the music that is being used. Master use is for masters, synchronization is for publishing. So for example, if the song itself, let's say a beat, I'm trying to see where masters is needed. Let's say masters, there's no example that's popping up in my head, but a synchronization license agreement can be needed on its own, where maybe you just want to use the lyrics, or you just want to use the beats, or someone else wants to sing beats. Do you get? Someone else wants to do a cover of the song. But naturally, what we usually use in music licensing is a master's use and synchronization license agreement because that pertains to the both sides. While for music incorporated via music composition, we have a music scoring agreement. Usually I told you about music scoring, putting sounds and all of that effects. And then you have a music composition agreement where an artist and a producer or a production company enters an agreement and say, you're going to make this number of songs for this film. And then this is how we're going to share it. And I believe with that, I've come to the end of this presentation. Sorry it took longer than I expected, but at this point, I'll open up the floors for questions.
All right, thank you so much, Miss Amanda, for such a very wonderful presentation. I hope everyone can hear me. And if you can, please, I would like to see your reacting to Miss Amanda's presentation on field business and law. And I think in roughly about almost an hour, she ran us through almost everything that has to do with um, film business and law, right, in a very, very short period of time. So please, Ma, we just want to offer you your flowers. Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing your vast knowledge with us. So before we go to questions, we'll be doing that a little bit later. We would want to go back to the mentee's presentation, right? So please, we quickly want to do that. So for the next 10 minutes each for each group, please, we would like for you to quickly come up and then start your presentation. So we'll go back to group one. I've gotten the correct version of your slides. So group presenter for group one, you can come back up and then I will share your slides right now. Hello, can we hear me? Is the presenter for group one still with us?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'll be sharing my slides right now. Please let's try to do that as quick as possible. All right, so please can we see my screen? Hello, please can someone confirm that they can see my screen?
Yes, sir. You
Yes,
can
sir,
see
we
your
can see
screen.
your screen.
Yes, all right, so please, good presenter, let's get back to business. In 10 minutes, let's do that as quick as possible so that we can take feedback from Miss Amanda and then we would wrap up with questions. So please, as fast as possible, let's get the ball rolling. Where are our presenters? Where are our presenters? If the good presenter is not available, can we have the backup presenter do that? or somebody from the group. Let's step in and present. Okay, if the presenter for group one is not available, please can we have the presenter for group two? Hello, can we hear me? Please, group presenter for group two. Let's quickly take your presentation so that we move forward. Hello, can we hear me?
Present. Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, so please, I think, is it, who, our presenter, that is Mutar. Please, Mutar, are you with us? All right, so let me share your slides so while you present. All right, so let me do that right now. All right, Mukhtar, please, you can go ahead. I'm sharing your slides now. And in the next 10 minutes, let's get to hear your presentation.
Okay, thank you. So I'm representing the group two of the Entertainment Business and Law Code. This is our week start of the week, which is about the legal structure behind film production, focusing on the organization, royalties, contracts, and enforcement behind the movie production. Next slide, sir. And I'll be standing in for Omololua, actually, who will be so I'll be presenting for that. The hidden framework behind everything. When we think of movie production, we imagine cameras rolling, actors, creatives, and all that. But behind the surface of things lies a carefully designed legal and business framework that protects ownership, manages the risk, and ensures compensation. A film is not just an art; it is It is an intellectual property, financial investment, and contractual collaboration. So more like what Ms. Amanda has lectured all on. And understanding its legal structure is essential for turning creative ideas into lasting commercial reality. Next slide, sir. Next slide. Organization. This is where we build in the legal foundation of the lithium business. In terms of organization, we have the legal entity formation. These are where things are produced under an LLC or corporation to protect personal assets and facilitate funds raising. This is in the case whereby we have like business production, more likely to say the Tyler Perry's production, Funke Akindele's production, and all of that, and all the entities that are under the production chain of title. These are the documented proof that all rights necessary to make and sell the film are legally secured. This is where we talk about the titles of the role titles, the job titles, and the entity titles who are all forming together in terms of making the team business. Work for hire agreement. This is a kind of work more structured whereby an entity hires the creatives, the skills, the talent, and people who are working behind the production scene to own the creative work, preventing future ownership and disputes. Next slide, sir. And now we move into contract. This is where we define every relationship of every person involved in the production and the chain of work behind the scene business. Contract clearly defines expectation, duties, and rights of everyone involved, from the actors to the directors to the investors. Each party signing agreements outlining payment terms, responsibilities, and timeline. This is in terms of where we talk about this is when if an actor is signing.
Mukhtar, are you with us? Okay, it seems we have lost our presenter. Okay, Mukhtar, are you back? Are you back with us?
Yes, I'm back. I'm so sorry, my network went off.
All right, so sorry about that.
Yes,
Please,
sir.
you can go ahead.
So I'll start again in terms of the contract. Contract is where we define every relationship and tax duty of everyone involved in the production. This is the backbone of production, as contract clearly define expectation, duties, and rights of everyone involved, from the actors to the directors to the investors. And this, sir? Yes, sir. Maybe I'll start. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear
Hello?
you. Please go ahead. Yes, we can hear you. Please
Hello?
go ahead.
Hey, goodness.
I said
Hello?
we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Okay, so I'll start again from the top of the contract. I say contract is where we define every relationship behind the same business. And this is where the law bound everyone in terms of, and this clearly defines the expectations, duties, and rights of everyone involved, from the actors to the directors and to the investors. Each party signs agreements outlining payment terms, responsibilities, and timeline. This is the contract where it says, okay, what so each person are meant to do, how they are meant to do it, how they get paid, what they are putting into the work, and the timeline of which they are to do, what they are to do, and which they are to expect, whatever they are to expect. The key contract element, this contract consists of the payment structure and the schedules. If an actor is being enrolled or casted into a job, into a movie production, this states the payment structures, how they'll be paid. Are they being paid upfront? Will they be paid instrumentally, or will they be paid per percent or a cut from the revenue generated? And this states the work obligations and deliverables in terms of if a job is being given to a production house, what and how they are meant to do, whatsoever format they are meant to do, deliver the work, all the basically terminologies and technicalities they need to do. Timeline commitment. This is in terms of like how long they need to deliver work, be across for the actors, the directors, and the investors. And the producer's representation. This marks the critical legal promise assuring investors and distributors that they own all necessary rights and that the film doesn't infringe or copyright the same individuals or violate piracy rights. More like what Miss Amanda was saying, where about the gangs of Lagos. I could remember that was something in the news, whereby some people were saying, okay, something behind the so family and I think the Lagos monarchs were saying they were being protected. I see that as part of what the producers have to do in terms of like making sure this doesn't infringe, doesn't detain people, and like the Chike songs and some other artist songs who are being used to make sure that their songs weren't being infringed upon. This is where the producers right. Next slide, sir. And now we're moving to the production. Production is where we connect the films and where we take the films from the production house, from the production studios to the fans and the audience who are to be watching it. And this could go in different forms in terms of the theatrical releases. And this could go in terms of theatrical releases, digital content, movie and streaming platform in terms of streaming platform, movies and showbiz. This is in terms of like the television network and travels and other markets. So the theatrical releases, this could be like okay, being shown in the traditional cinemas in theaters worldwide. When would they get to say, okay, Power is out now in cinemas, so selected cinemas, they could say, okay, it's only in IMAX studios, stuff like that. And when this streaming platform, this goes about saying, okay, the streaming platform where these movies or these films are to be exclusive, they might be exclusive to a particular streaming platform, and sometimes they might be generic across all platforms. This goes behind the distribution line. And television network, this is in terms of being showed on the average TV, what sort of TV network on the Synergy, all the Synergy network which it to be shows. Travels another market. This could be in terms of like festivals, airlines, air flights, hotels, and specialized distribution. Some movies are being exclusive to some people.
We seem to have lost our presenter again. We'll just give him 5
Are you
minutes.
sir?
Yes.
I'm so sorry, my network was
Yes.
glitching.
All right. So please just try to
I'm
speed
trying
up your
to fix my
presentation.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I said
Sir?
please try to speed up your presentation. Then try to speed up your
Sir, I'm here
presentation.
now. Yes, sir. So in terms of this distribution, this consists of the theatrical release, streaming platform, television network, market, and other markets. A producer may sell distribution rights in specific territories or secure minimum guarantees before completion to reduce financial risk and raise funds for production. Next slide, sir. Royalties and revenue. Next slide. Hello. Next slide. Yes, okay. Royalties and revenue sharing. The money waterfall. Payment follows the structures order called the waterfall, ensuring all financial obligations are met before profit participants receive their shares. This is where over revenues and royalties being gained, they will take and distributors' expenses. Distributors take whatever fee they have to incur during the course of distribution. The lender repayment, how the lenders, the financials are being repaid with interest. Investors' return, capital and agreed returns are paid to the investors over time, whereby they will get their cost of whatever investment they put into it. And the number four, profit participants. This is where the producers, actors, and directors receive their back end participation, more like what Ms. Amanda said. Next slide. Infringement. This is the back end of the film production that try to curtail risk of legal violations. Infringement occurs when protected materials is used without permission, more like what you say you were being told earlier. Using copyrighted music requires obtaining proper licenses from both specific sound recording and the online composition in terms of lyrics and melody. And the melody of song can be used without getting the proper clearance from the artist or the publishing house. And the types of infringement risk, includes the unauthorized use of music or existed script, defamation portraits of individuals, violation of privacy rights, copyright, copying protected creative materials, all as what they are available. Next slide. And enforcement is the part where we protect the right of releases and curtail the infringement upon. This goes about the privacy challenge, unauthorized streaming, downloading, and distribution reduce profit and discourage investment in creative projects. This curtails whereby on the leakage of music, I think music being out there for free download when the producers themselves are putting their movies in the cinemas or probably on the streaming platform. Advanced detection technology. With the advent of AI technology, producers and investors are developing modern tools that allow rights holders to detect illegal streams quickly and identify infringing websites in real time. More like what has been happening whereby the Net Nigeria site gets shut down over time and more, and some other streaming platforms. Real-time blocking. Authorities can block access to infringing websites, protecting revenue streams, and intellectual property. More like what I just said. Next slide, sir. And now the complete legal framework. This is the complete framework of the organization, the enforcement, infringement protection, royalty, distribution, and the contract all coming together. This is what makes the legal framework of the movie production behind the scene of movie production. And the key takeaway here is that legal structure is not optional. It is something quite essential. Organization, contract, and proper right management are essential foundations for any film project. Prevention beats litigation. Next slide, sir. The last slide. Prevention beats litigation. Securing proper permission and conducting due diligence often saves time, money, and creative energy later on. More like what the reverends were being told. The movie has already been out on the platform. Somebody wrote, and they had the option of either paying the person or probably taking the movie down, having to reshoot and re-uploading. That which goes a long way. But having to do the investigation, the legal structure they are in place, this prevents all of that. Money follows structures. Understanding the value revenue waterfall helps realistic expectations and negotiate better deals, whereby money wouldn't just cost someone else the 5%, the 10% without having to consider what and what needs to be put in place. Protection continues after release. Active enforcement against piracy protects both the creative effort and financial returns in the digital age. Even after the release, the enforcement and watch out for infringement. These are actions that are being taken upon even after the release. The legal foundation of a film may not appear on screen, but it is what allows the story to exist, succeed, and endure long even after the credit rolls, which is the legal work is what really keeps the business of the film business active, even despite the audience not seeing all of that. Thank you, sir. I'm done. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Mukhtar, for helping us run through your good presentation. We really appreciate the effort that it took for you to step in on behalf of your team to make your presentation. So not to waste any time, what we'll be doing next is that we'll be taking feedback from the mentors. I can see our second mentor for today finally was able to join us. Thank you so much, Mrs. Omotayo, for joining in on the call. We are happy to have you here with us. So, not to waste any time, I would first like to give you the floor now to come and just give us your 2 cents or what you eventually had in mind to share with us as regards the topic for today, film business and law, and then maybe a little feedback to the presentation. Then we'll head over to Miss Amanda, and then we'll take questions for today.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Good evening, everyone. And my sincere apologies for joining late, really late. It was due to reasons beyond my control. I would like to applaud the presentation so far. First of all, to my colleague Amanda. I feel like I don't even think I should say anything because Amanda really dissected the entire. It feels like it's a serious masterclass we just had here. And if you really listen to everything Amanda said, it looks like there's almost nothing else to talk about. But I might talk about the musical parts a bit because the musical part of film, that's what I'm going to just talk about briefly since there's no time, right? And then I want to say, oh, I'm sorry, I was speaking. My apologies. So I'd like to also say well done to the first or second presenter. I think you took over from someone else, right? Anyways, when we're talking film business and law, right? I believe I'm speaking with lawyers here. So one thing I like to tell lawyers that try to come into film businesses, you slightly remove your legal cap. Yes, you're gonna wear that hat, right? But you slightly remove it. Think of the film business itself. It's just like every other business. You're here to make money. Of course, you are there for passion for some of the guys there, but you're here to make money. And everybody wants to make money in one way or the other. So I'll just address the musical part of film, because if you listen to everything Amanda said, that's basically all you need to know, at least for now. So when you're watching a particular movie, whether as a lawyer or even as maybe as an audience, right? You see, you can never ever watch a film without music. It's even almost impossible. I don't think there's any film yet, maybe even theater, maybe just theater live performance. Even with that, they still have music. So you spoke about chain of titles. That's the first presenter, right? You spoke about chain of titles. When you're talking about chain of titles, you're not just looking at it from the theoretical part. You're not just saying, oh, who has what. Several creatives have come together to make this film a success, right? And your job as a lawyer is to ensure everyone with their title gets what they've agreed to get. I wanted to say what they deserve, but from my experience, it's not like everyone really gets what they deserve, but it's what they have agreed to. Now, from practical experience, you see, oftentimes people just, you get in touch with a musical artist, and then you tell them, I need this particular song originally for my film. Just like the example Amanda gave, that's Bimbo Ademoye's film, I think, Where Love Lives. That's the title of the movie. At a particular time when the movie had gone to almost 11 or 15 million views, some musical artists came up to say, this particular song, I have rights in the composition of the song. Whereas Bimbo Ademoye already, contacted this to Ugochi. So in the mind of I won't say a layman now, in the mind of everybody, you just wonder, Ugochi sang this song already. Why is somebody else laying claims to it? The truth is that in the music business itself, when you hear a particular song, it's not just one person that owns the rights, all of the rights to that song. Someone can own rights to the musical composition. Someone can own rights to the right to performance, right? Someone else can even co-own composition rights. So it's very likely, I don't know what the true facts of that case is, but your job here now is, as a lawyer, you open your thinking cap now in the music business and in the film business. You look through every single musical work or sound in that film. This song is sung.
who composed it, who actually owns, was it licensed to you? Is it an exclusive license? Is it an original song? You have to clear all of that, clear the music production aspect, clear the music, the lyrical aspect. Be sure that whoever you contracted, like maybe for instance, this Ugochi matter, be sure that Ugochi actually even had the entire rights to the song that, excuse me, to this soundtrack. Because what most filmmakers do is, I paid this person is my guy, I paid this person, you deliver a song to me. You don't know how that song came about. So it's not just one song, it's about the chain of titles related to that particular song. And then you do this for every sound. Now, when it comes to scoring, Amanda mentioned something about scoring, right? There's some music producers that will even put sounds. So you're not hearing any song like You Are My African Queen. You're not hearing the words itself. You're just hearing musical sounds. Some of those musical sounds are made by, some of them are free musical sounds. Those ones are clear. While some are actually made by people. And those ones, they have the original copyright in that particular sound. So you don't just leave that if you're not certain. So when I say you don't just leave, the filmmaker doesn't just lift that if you're not certain that it has been cleared. If you're not certain, regardless of the fact that it's just a sound, it's just beats you're listening to, somebody owns rights to those beats. You don't just say, oh, I just want to add this, dun, 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 dun. Someone will come after you. So when you're saying chain of titles, right, it means you're not just coming to do paperwork. You're not just coming to write. Even if you find, sorry to say, you find the film boring, right? That's you're tired to watch. You're not watching now as an audience would. I don't want to stay so much here. Just because a lot of things go on in this movie industry. You see some people that are like experts. They've been producing films for, they'll tell you 10 years. How many years? I kid you not, even films in the cinema. I've worked on one even recently that the musical work was just given, it was, there were issues already at the point of release. It's already released, it's already in theaters. And then someone is coming to say, you know what, this particular song, you didn't agree to perform it this way. You only agreed to this. And where's the contract? There's no contract. And there's a lawyer. It's unfortunate because the film production company has a lawyer. Maybe they have an in-house counsel. So you, as the lawyer, you can never be 100%, right? But it should be like 99.9%. You think beyond how a lawyer would think. You think like a music executive. Think like a film executive. Who is making money from this? Who is interested in this? How do I clear all of this? That's one. Second thing that's very, very important is ownership of intellectual property rights. The way ownership of intellectual property rights work in films is you're not using emotions practically. Someone can say they are the owner of the entire script. They are the screenwriter, and they actually do not put their hand in pen to paper to actually write that script. So you won't come off tomorrow and say, oh, this person is not the screenwriter. The person can lay claim to being screenwriter because they have gotten all of those rights from the real person. When I say the real person, you must assume Omotayo used her hand to write on a paper or typed that script. You can actually license or assign all of your rights to the filmmaker. And at that point, that filmmaker can turn out to be, on the end credits, you end up seeing this particular, maybe like Funke Akindele, you end up seeing Funke Akindele wrote these scripts. Whereas in reality, maybe she did not put her hand in paper or put her finger on the typewriter or on the computer to type that. So ownership of rights is dependent on what you agreed to do and how you have successfully done it as their lawyer, not emotions, not, oh, this person did the hard work. Yes, a lot of people put in the hard work, but sometimes they lose their rights. So you as a lawyer, whether lawyer to the filmmaker, whether lawyer to the distributor, or lawyer to the musical artist that has been contracted to do musical work, your job is to stand up for your client's rights. Okay. I'll just stop here because it's almost 8 p.m. and I'll be happy to take questions after this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Omotayo, for your contribution to the discussion, everything that you have shared here. So we would be taking we'll be taking questions now. We are almost fast spent on time, right? So just to cut down on so much, right? Let's just go ahead and take questions. If you have questions for our mentors, you have questions for Miss Amanda and Mrs. Omotayo, right? Let's do well to do that. You can indicate by raise of hand, or you can send your question to the chat box and I'll read it out to the mentor. So please, if you have any question, film business is I think it's a very interesting topic in the sense that movies that constitute our everyday entertainment, right? We are discussing movies that constitute our everyday entertainment, and I'm sure that there are things about the structures around movies that we have explained that may still seemingly seem unclear. So this is the opportunity that you have to address those, for our mentors to help address those issues. So if you do have a question, like I said, you can kindly indicate by raise of hand or by sending your question to the chat box. Please let's do that as quick as possible. And while I'm waiting, or while we are waiting for the mentees to ask their question, I'll go ahead and first ask a question. So my own question, I hope you all can hear me. Can we confirm that we can hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right. So my own first question is, in regards to piracy and stealing of intellectual property, with some of the issues that comes up with, let's say, people not clearing their work and uploading their work on YouTube, and just having the issues of them taking their work, YouTube or some other streaming platform taking their work down. How do these film producers and those who own the film how do they do their own due diligence to make sure that whatever is the issue? I think there was an issue with I think I've forgotten her name. She had an issue with a movie where someone had copied a sound and had uploaded it on a separate platform. And when she now uploaded her own movie, even though it was her original sound, the movie got flagged and YouTube took down her movie. So how does a movie producer in that sense cover up for things like that so that they don't get to lose after spending so much money in light of producing that movie? So this is just an open question to the mentors, right? I really hope I can get an answer, and then our mentees, you can take a cue from there and also ask your questions. Mrs. Omotayo, are you with us? Did you hear my question? Ms. Omotayo, did you hear my question? Sorry. All right, it seems Ms. Omotayo and Ms. Amanda are no longer on the call. So sorry about that. So what we'll be doing is, if you have any question, you can kindly send your questions to me.
Hi, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was muted, so I was wondering. My apologies, please. So your question is related to I think it's still that same Bimbo Ademoye's film I referenced, Where Love Lives, right? So on YouTube it was flagged down because another musical artist had published that song in a separate streaming platform. So it still goes back to, I don't know how they ended up sorting that out, right? I don't know how they ended up sorting that out. We don't know the real facts of the case if that artist was the real owner. But it still goes back to the due diligence aspect. And of course, generally, right, as a copyright holder, what you do is you are responsible for, in quote, policing your work. In as much as you have a lawyer, and I'm speaking to lawyers here, we know that lawyers should do the due diligence to ensure everything goes well, right? The filmmaker here is the one that's still putting in the money. So it's like you still have to do the due diligence somehow. So how to avoid it is to ensure everything that you're using that is not originally yours, you have cleared. And clear doesn't mean you just get one paper somewhere and say it is cleared, like you know how they stamp in school. Clear means you actually check through. Guy, are you sure you're the owner of this? Let me get the paper to show that you're the owner of this. Let me get the true license from whoever it is that you copied. You know, if you did this song and you copied something from someone or you sampled something from someone, let's go back to that owner. So that's just musical parts. Even for a clip, you know, when you have like Omoni Oboli's film sometime maybe 2 years ago, I can't remember. A particular scene was also included, and that issue alone was from a documentary or something. Regardless of how large or how small that thing is, you, the filmmaker, you always know. It's like seeing your projects in school and you see some quotations there. You know that quotation is not yours. You should just give reference. That's how it works with projects in school. But in film, yeah, you know that in the whole of this 2-hour film, right, some of these creative works were not, you can't account for them. If you know you can't account for them, you have to trace, or better still, if you are not sure, you cannot take the risk, you take it down. What is not originally yours, or you can't account for how you originally got that thing, or you can't account for the license for that work, should not be on your film. Like I said, I worked on a case recently, and I still wonder, how did this film get to theater? Why would you decide to take the risk to take this to theater, thinking no one will come after you? You're going public. It's not something that's hidden. So it's just logical, whether as a lawyer to these people or the filmmaker yourself. Always check before you release. Always check. Clear everything. The chain of titles, you have to be sure. Even like what Amanda mentioned earlier, in Lagos, even there's some people they call the Omoniles. Sometimes you have to actually clear in quotes with the Omoniles. They're like touts, right? They're not government officials. They're not even film censor officials, right? But in Lagos, you can't just go to Eko Idumota and say you want to start filming, even though you got the local government chairman's authority or something. You still clear with those guys there. And when I say clear, like settle them, be sure they will allow you use that particular place. So in practice, it's not just what is in pen and paper. Sometimes you have to do some things. And even as a lawyer, you would agree with your filmmaker to show that these things, you have authority. Otherwise, you just end up encountering so many issues along the way or even after release. Yeah. I hope that answers the question, though.
Yes, ma, that does. Thank you very much, ma, for helping out with that question. All right. I can see Taya, you are raising your hand. Please go ahead and ask your question.
My question is, so I've already dropped my question in the group, in the chat box, but I can still drop here. I said, what are the standpoints of the music execs in scenarios where music licensing on paper works for the films turns out to be different from what the song credit actually tends to be? Say in a case whereby a movie is already been released and someone the song has already been cleared and been already credited, and someone's just come out to say, okay, they weren't being credited. I was the songwriter on the song, they didn't credit me, they wrote somebody else's, and I won my credit to this thing. Because I know something in the music business, some people, they always like to live on this credit meta tags thing to say, okay, they just want their credits. and the movie has already been released, what are the standpoints of the music exec, and what is the standpoint of the film business and law to that? Hello?
Okay, do I answer that? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
also, one question before you go, the second one quick, so you can run through with the two. In cases whereby some movies, they tend to do like a soundtrack compilation of their soundtracks on streaming platforms, and let's say an artist already dropped their songs and the song is already out there, and I've seen cases whereby a song is already out on the streaming platform and the movie in the production house tends to do their own compilation of the soundtracks, and it tends to be entirely different from the one of that of the artist already released. What is the standpoint to that? Does that mean people who are behind the song of that, they also get credit, or they don't get credit to the one being published by the production house on such cases, on such compilation?
If I got you correctly, are you saying the music artist that has some of his song in a film, he will publish his own song separately, and some of those songs the filmmaker will still publish? You can't publish the same song at the same time by two separate people. If that's where your question is driving at, there's something is wrong already.
I've seen cases like that.
Yes, there's something is wrong.
In fact,
Somebody has to
Nigeria.
say something is wrong already. Someone has to file for one to be taken down. Whoever has the true rights eventually. There are instances like that, but it won't ever hold. One person will have the right to take down the other. They should not coexist. You can't have this same song, this exact song. Let's say what song should I use now? I don't know. African Queen just keeps coming to mind. Let's assume African Queen was a soundtrack in a film. And then you have African Queen by Two-Face on Spotify, on Apple Music. And then you now have maybe African Queen was the soundtrack in Kemi Adetiba's film. And then you see they release it and you are still saying that somebody would have to take it down. And then it traces you back to the original agreement. What's the agreement between the artist and the filmmaker? This is so I don't know if it feels like maybe we're talking about something similar, because I'm working on something, but I can't really give full details of that here, right? But it goes back to the original agreement. One person must be the one with the higher rights if there's something like that. Even if you say both of you co-own it, you both can't publish separately. So this is where settlement comes into play. First of all, it goes back to that your first question that talks about what's the standpoint for music executives in this case. The truth is that correction of metadata in cases like this almost practically, it's not as if it's impossible, but it's almost always practically impossible. Just like the title, this A Very Dirty Christmas by Iniedo. A lot of folks were advising you should just go and change the title, but it's not so easy to just do that. Same way you can't just change the credit on an already released film. It's possible, but it's practically difficult. So that's almost like worst case scenario. If the title holder is insisting you have to do that, and that comes back to a lot of losses on the part of the filmmaker. So whoever is the real copyright holder in that particular work has the right to say, you know what, you're going to have to. They are right in writing. I would say like what we learn in law of jurisprudence. There's law as it ought to be, and there's law as it is. You know, there's law as in writing. This is what you're supposed to do. But you, as a film lawyer in the film business, you know that this is what you're supposed to do in law. But this is bad business. So this is where your diplomatic reasoning comes into play. You have to find a way to bring both parties together and you settle. The worst case scenario, you're going for litigation. But oftentimes, this is our business. People don't even end up in litigation. You come and say, guy, I beg, we can't change this thing. You find a way to settle. Now, this is me telling you as what would happen in reality. So one person has a right to take down, to tell the other person to take it down. They come together. They are okay. You can be the one to publish, and then I get royalties of this. But I would like you to tell me which filmmaker and which musical artist have the same song right now. I would like to check. I would like to look into that if you can, unless it's a case in court currently. Excuse me. And then the other part of your question, is it the same person raising his hand? The same person I'm answering?
The same person. You've answered the questions. You've answered the question,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I'm
thank
seeing
you.
a finger, a raised hand.
So the same person.
So you see, in this business, right? Contract control. See, God, I don't know how I can say contract controls a lot of things. You're talking about how the music executives handle it, how with the filmmakers and contracts controls a lot of things. But the unfortunate situation here is most of these creatives, everybody just wants to do handshake business. You get into business without the contract, and then it leaves you, the lawyer, to come and clean up the mess. So it's like you're going to have to settle this outside a contract that never existed. You have to start using intention, or maybe their intention to contract if there was no actual contract, and you find a way to settle them. But last, if everything gets so bad, you end up in court. Litigation will be the last way to settle these rights issues.
All right, thank you very much, Mark, for helping us
If
answer
you're not
that
clear, if
question.
there's any part of this you're not clear with, please, you can ask, and maybe I can rephrase.
All right, thank you very much, Mark, for helping us answer that question. So I think I saw someone else raising their hand. Please, if you did raise your hand, please go ahead and ask your question. I think Edith Uduak.
Yeah, hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to our speakers. I'm sorry, my background may be a bit noisy, but I hope you can still hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead with your question.
Okay, so my question is regarding music being used in films or movies in general, because I know that there are some situations whereby if they are not able to get like the license for the music, then they end up like, would I say, creating their own sound, or like, I don't know how to put it. I don't know if you've perhaps watched the movie Bridgerton, where the series Bridgerton, where they use like instrumentals, not the exact instrumental of the song that they have in mind, or the song that they pick, but they kind of like upscale it, make it classical, turn it into classical music. So I don't know what exactly is the situation in those like kind of circumstances. How does the contract look, or how does licensing and the rest look?
Hi, Uduak.
Miss
I got your.
please, did you get the
I don't follow Bridgerton, so I'm not sure I got your analysis clearly. But if what you're saying is they make their own original sounds, are you saying it's similar to an existing sound? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the song is already in existence, but basically what they do is kind of like make it. I don't know how to explain. Like, they make it classical in a way. It's still the same song. It's still the same. Yeah, it's still the same like melodies, but instead of it being.
Yes, I noticed that. But one thing, I think they do just the violin cover up the songs. But
Yes,
yet,
like they cover the song, but just like instrumental.
something I know, especially the title track. There's does the track. These tracks are being released on his own platform, on his own so Spotify page. It has the credit, and yet some of all these songs still get released under Bridgerton compilation. And yet, even though sometimes it's not all the songs that tend to be on his own platform, but yet some songs tend to be, some songs might be old songs, some songs he has released in like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, they make it
Who is
into the
he? Who are you
Bridgerton, and
referring
yet
to?
they
If
make
I
the
may ask.
Bridgerton compilation.
Are you referring to a particular artist? I didn't get that.
I think Alan, Bridgerton. Not just Bridgerton, it's got songs for even the likes of um Game of Thrones. It's got songs for it's
Yes, so
got
you're
titles
saying
for Game of
the same
Thrones.
sound
Some of all these
occurs
titles,
in all of these movies. You can get rights for the music production. You can get rights
okay.
for a sampled work if you're, because that's what you're saying. What you're describing sounds like a sampled adaptation of that work. If I'm getting your illustration correctly. Unfortunately, I don't watch Bridgerton, so I'm not sure if I can get you correctly. But if what you're saying is they adapt an existing song and make it like a classical, they perform it. Performance rights will not be contested there, but an adaptation of that original um um music production, you can get rights for that, and you can have that. You see how sometimes on Spotify people have like maybe like a remix version or no a cover version and they release it. So it's possible for you to have that if you get the right license. So I don't think what you're saying is they won't get licensed at all. It's not possible that they don't get licensed at all. So long as it's very obvious that this particular melody is gotten from an already existing work, they will have some sort of license to do that, to do an adaptation of that musical work.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Omosayo, for helping answer that question, helping to answer that question, and thank you, Edward, for your question. Okay, I think we have far short our time for class, right? And I can say it's safe that to say that the subject matter of film business and law, our mentors have been able to treat it to a very large extent. And I'm sure if you still have questions, you can compile your questions, send it to us, and then we'll mail it to the mentors. And whatever response they give, we can send it back to you. So yeah, and you can also connect with our mentors on their different LinkedIn page. And like for Mrs. Omosayo, like we read in her profile, she owns her a YouTube page where she discusses some of these things, and also on she's also on Instagram and then some other platforms as My Digital Lawyer. You can always search for her and then connect with her and get to ask questions if you need clarity on some other things. So thank you so much to our mentors, Mrs. Omotayo, and then to Miss Amanda. With that, just before we go, seeing that we have far short our time, for the last thing that we have for today, we'll be taking pictures in the session. So please, if you can, and if you have some kind of lighting in your background, I would like to call us or employ us to turn on our videos if you can for a quick 1 minute picture, and then we'll call it a night. Can we hear me? Please, if we can, please let's have our video stand on. We'll do this as fast as possible. Hello, mentees. Let's turn on our videos. If we have lighting in our background, let's take pictures and let's close class for today. Okay. I want to assume we are unable to turn on our videos because of our location and the lighting in our environment. So what we'll do is in the next class, immediately we come on for the session, we'll try to take pictures before we carry on with the rest of the class. Right. So please, I want to encourage us when you come to class, please be prepared to be in the session. Try and cooperate with the moderator, whoever the person may be, right, so that we can have a very easy flowing session. And like I said, you can connect with our mentors on their different social media platforms. You can reach out to them, ask them questions, and I'm sure that they are going to be open to answer your question. For the mentees, we'll be sending in your attendance after this class. Please do well to fill in your attendance so that we know that you are in the session, right? And don't forget to post what you have learned in the session. Miss Amanda's presentation. I will be sending the presentation to your group so that you can follow up with it, and also the YouTube link so that you can rewatch the session in case if there are particular aspects of the class that you had or you have missed out on. So thank you everyone for being in session today. See you all next week. Your new tasks for the week will be posted, I think, before the end of today. So please watch out for that. Let's try our possible best to cooperate with each other to ensure that we carry out our tasks and our assignments to just better have an easy flowing class, like I earlier said. Thank you once again, Mrs. Omosayo and Miss Amanda in Essential. Good night, everyone, and please enjoy the rest of your evening.